Hello, my name is John Paul Marshall, and here I'm going to be telling you about ethical dilemmas in mediation. Now, an ethical dilemma in mediation can occur with the mediator when the mediator is in a situation where they aren't really sure about their course of action and the effects that it could have on the parties. So they're confused about if their plan is the right one that they should take for the desired effects that they want. And that is an ethical dilemma for the mediators. Now, this is different from a skill dilemma. A skill dilemma comes from a lack of experience. A skill dilemma is that they're just in the situation with the parties and they just don't know what to do. So they don't have a plan to put in action, and it's just a lack of experience and skills to come up with something for them. So that's the difference between skill and ethical, because one is they have a plan with the ethical, but they aren't sure if it's the right one to pursue, and the skill dilemma is that they just don't have it. Now, this is one of the biggest ethical dilemmas in all of mediation, and it can be found in all sectors from divorce to real estate, and that is staying impartial. Partiality can be affected in many ways, and I'm about to go through the reasons why you might find yourself in this ethical dilemma. One reason you might find yourself in this ethical dilemma of losing impartiality is you have empathy, a high amount of empathy as mediator, and you kind of find yourself putting yourself in the person's shoes that you're listening to. So you kind of hear their side, and you're like, oh man, I feel terrible. Or sympathy, where you just hear their story, and you're like, oh man, I feel terrible for you. So you gravitate more towards them. Now then you got the kind of opposite, and it's antipathy, which is you look at one party and you're just like, I hate you a lot. And then you gravitate to help the other party in some sort of way. With these feelings, you kind of influence the mediation to go in a way that's more towards your bias. Now, another reason is that they could have gone through this situation, you know what I'm saying? So, mediator is mediating thing, and maybe they went through a divorce. And they just like, man, I remember when she left me and took all my stuff. I'm about to go with the dude, because they got all that stuff taken in their divorce. So they're like, yeah, I'm not about to let that happen to them. So they go ahead and help them. Now, other thing is that I might look at one of the parties and say, that person relates to me. And they might unconsciously gravitate towards them and helping them, which will make the parties feel that it's biased. So let's say, mediator is like, man, I'm ugly, they're ugly, I like that person right there. They might look at the other person, yeah, they look a little better than me, I'm not feeling them. I'm not feeling them at all. Another reason is when you're more experienced and you've been in these situations a lot, is that you have been, as a mediator, you have been in the same case already. And you've been in a similar case so many times that you just already got in your head the idea of how you about to make this go, or how you about to have them settle it, because you done did it. It's just cut and done. It's just textbook. It's over. Don't even gotta think about it or participate in it, which kind of takes you out of actually working through the current situation and just kind of going with stuff that's already happened. Now, one of the other things here for mediators is that they can't give legal advice or counseling or make the decisions for the parties. They have to stay neutral, so they can't offer their opinions. Because once they offer their opinions, they're putting their biases in. And given that most of the mediators have been in a lot of other positions like lawyers and all this other stuff, they know a lot of stuff that could possibly help the parties, but they aren't supposed to add their input into the situation, because that would be them implementing their bias into it, which would disrupt the natural flow of how the mediation is supposed to go. Now, mediation is supposed to be, with the mediator, is supposed to be completely neutral because in this process, it's about the two parties coming together on their own to find a mutually beneficial solution that works for both of them. And if the mediator loses its impartiality, its neutrality in the situation, then they influence the situation to help one side or to not help one side or the other. So that's why impartiality and neutrality is so much of an ethical dilemma in mediation, because it can affect the entire process. And it also makes the people in it feel uncomfortable. Like they'll be like, oh man, that dude, he was biased towards me, he liked her more because she had a big forehead or something, so it was like, makes them feel bad about the situation, makes them not want to participate or go along with whatever deal comes out. And that's it. That's why you gotta remain impartial in your mediation. Here's some sources. Good night.